In my last video, I showed you scenes from a puppet museum and the rod puppet that I created inspired by that experience. I had said my next video would be a puppet play, but man, oh man, I was not at all ready for that yet. I've been crafting like mad behind the scenes though, and in this video, I'll show you how I make a dragon-themed proscenium arch, a backdrop, 3 human puppet characters, and some paper lanterns to use as props. Hi, this is Marcy at Sketchbook Scheming. Welcome. For this project, I made as much as I could with recycled materials and leftover crafting supplies, but I did end up spending about $30 on wood and fabric. Here, though, I'm painting a leftover piece of sheetrock that I'll use as the backdrop of my puppet theater. I thought our ping pong table would be a peaceful place to paint a backdrop of a night sky, but it did have its drawbacks. I hemmed and hawed for a while about how to film a puppet play, and then my husband built this. I painted it blue with some leftover paint from our front door. I sketched an idea in my sketchbook for a decorative proscenium arch to frame the stage. Then I made a paper pattern of a dragon's head, which I used to trace the shape on a piece of foam board left over from my crafting days. I used to make a lot of dioramas, and I repurposed a few of the old dioramas to use in this project, as well as some leftover materials. I glued on some horns and reinforced them on the back with cardboard. I cut out some facial features as well. I let everything dry under The Art of the Last of Us, Part 2. Oh, hey, sorry, buddy. We're not ready for you yet. I painted on some decorative texture with wood glue. Off camera, I also made some wings out of foam board, as well as some planks, and then I painted everything with black before adding some red, white, and yellow accents. Here's a look at a corner piece. I designed some flames in my sketchbook, first trying to paint them with acrylic, but then switching to using paint markers on pieces of recycled cardboard that I could glue onto the proscenium arch. And approximately 87 hours later, I had finished them. I tested the layout of my pieces on my carpet before taking everything downstairs to glue onto my puppet theater. I booped them on using a mix of hot glue and tacky glue. Boop. I added some white clouds to this particle board. I hadn't noticed how patchy the blue looked in some parts, and I hope that improved it a little bit. My puppet play will star my dragon, as well as 4 human characters. I was going to make some super simple stick puppets from these ones I had picked up at the Puppet Museum, but I also had this old Baba Yaga doll I had made for a diorama. Her head is a shrunken potato. I couldn't very well have one clothed doll with 3 sticks, so I made 3 more dolls. I shaped some thin wire into skeleton shapes, covered that with aluminum foil, and wrapped each doll in floral tape. That's how I had made the Baba Yaga doll years ago, but I really struggled to get this floral tape to stick. I don't know if I wasn't pulling it tightly enough, or if it was just a less sticky brand or what, but I ended up needing to Mod Podge the hell out of it to get it to hold together. That worked fine. I made 3 new dolls in this way and then gave them each several coats of acrylic. I wanted them to look homemade and wonky and rustic and, well, mission accomplished. They're pretty rough looking. They're my little pals though. I matched up each doll with a fabric pattern. These cost $2 each and I had a lot left over. I made a simple tunic pattern for the 3 of them to wear and traced it onto the fabric to cut out. This character is a young girl who lives in a small mountain village. I had picked up this special wool in Scotland and used it to make a wee sheepy. Here, it'll be a belt for my character's tunics. The next character is a young boy who's friends with the girl. He does a foolish thing, though, that leads to trouble for the village. I think I'm still in some rewrites on the script, but I'll work it out. The final character is the girl's father. I think he might be chopping wood when we first meet him, and the girl, "Get out of here, buddy. I told you we're not ready for you yet." Geez, is there anything more irritating than an impatient dragon? I had this leftover doll's head from a previous project when I made a wig of the ridiculous comb-over of he who shall not be named. Instead of making a whole tiny wig this time, though, I just taped up some snips of hair and glued them right onto the doll's head. This guy's neck is crazy long. After the glue dried, I cut off the taped parts and then glued on her headscarf. I gave them all black boots made out of floral tape. I guess I covered up her hair a bit too much, but she's still a cutie. I used a hair tie to keep the scarf in place while the glue dried. And here are my finished villagers. Oh boy. I sketched a little dragon silhouette that I cut out and traced onto a soft block to carve out. I'll use the block to print dragon silhouettes on little paper lanterns that'll be props in my puppet play. You may notice how I am pointing the sharp blade toward my soft, fleshy fingers. Don't do that. I didn't film much of the carving because I have to get my big noggin about 1 inch from the block. I did some test prints in my sketchbook using a blue ink pad, but I couldn't get them dark enough and I didn't want blue anyway, so I ended up switching to red acrylic. I made a cardboard frame with 3 panels cut out and used that to trace to make the rest of my lantern. I pressed the paint onto the tissue paper with all my might, and oh yeah, look at that red. Get out of here, I tell ya. I tested out how the lantern would look when lit up in the dark. I promptly drew blood trying to sew on some strings to my lantern. I persevered though, without further incident. I'm thrilled with how these cute little lanterns came out, and I even tried them out for a moment as home decor. As for some simple sets, I'm going to repurpose some dioramas I made years ago for a hut, a cemetery, and maybe another location or two. I still have to figure out a dragon's lair. The potato-headed doll I showed you will be a village elder, but I originally had made her to be Baba Yaga, a character from a Slavic folk tale who has a house with giant chicken legs. The legs got broken though, so I decided to saw them off and use the hut as the village house in my puppet play. I might repair the chicken legs someday. They're pretty cool. Here's a look at a few other dioramas that I might want to use in the play as well. I've been puttering around with this project on the back burner for months, but I'd say the time for stalling is finally over. It is time to perform my dragon puppet play. I want to thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Please tune in next time for what will be my dragon puppet play. I swear.